Hey guys, Andrew Ricks here, and today I'm getting back to my roots for this series, and we're going to be comparing Brickmania and TMC. So of course, as you can tell by what's in front of you, we're going to be comparing two Civil War figures. Now I can't remember precisely, but I do believe that a long time ago I did review the TMC Sackcoat figure, but I don't think that I provided a comparison because these Brickmania Civil War figures just recently released. I definitely haven't compared these before, so this should be fun. Why don't we jump right into it? As you can clearly tell, on the left we have a Brickmania Civil War figure. More specifically, this is the first Minnesota volunteer figure from Brickmania that was recently released. And then on the right, we have a TMC, or the Minifig Co. Sackcoat figure, fully decked out with a head and a kepi. That was released, I believe, about a year or a year and a half ago officially. I only picked this combination of material up, or the combination of parts up, probably about 6 months ago. But anyways, why don't we jump right into the figure itself. So if we start at the top, one thing that you'll notice is that the Brickmania figure has a 3D printed forage cap, whereas the TMC figure uses a regular Lego kepi. And if we can turn the figures on their sides here, I think what you'll immediately notice is the shaping difference. So as you can see, that central part of the hat is really pushed forwards on the 3D printed version, and of course the kepi, it's less pronounced. So I think that what you can attribute this to is that Brickmania, of course, has a huge 3D print capacity, which really makes it so that they can make some awesome things and really pump out some really unique products, which I think that they did for this figure itself. I think that this is a very unique hat and definitely adds to the figure. Now, that isn't to detract from the TMC version. You do have two different methodologies of applying stuff to these hats. I believe that the mini figure on the left, the Brickmania one, I think that these are painted, the golden accents on the hat essentially. And then for the TMC version, I think that all the details on the dark blue kepi are pad printed. So those are two different options. I think that personally, the painting looks a little bit more historic. I don't really know how to describe it. It looks older, but I do think that the TMC version is a little bit cleaner and maybe provides a more refined look to it. Now, as we go down to the bodies themselves, I think that the first thing you notice is that they almost look like they're different colors. Now, they aren't different colors. They are both on a dark blue base here, as you can very clearly see. But the big difference is that I believe that Lando did some subtle color shifting and texturing, as you can see with that black coloring below the straps here. You can kind of see the little lines. I'm sure that should be able to pick up. Essentially, it looks like texture. And obviously on the TMC one, there really aren't those. So what I think that does is it actually lends itself to making the figure look a little bit more realistic and make him look more dynamic and kind of essentially makes him look like he's actually wearing the uniform. I think the TMC version looks a little bit static. It is an outdated design, but again, I do think it looks a little bit static. I think another big thing that jumps out at you right on the front, of course, are those straps. Now, the Brickmania version has the appropriate straps. Of course, these are holding what I believe would be his cartridge box, and then I think that they're also holding a satchel and a canteen, so that is very appropriate. One thing that I find a little bit odd about the TMC version is that his ammo pouch, or his cartridge pack, is nowhere to be found, should I say. Essentially, the TMC version, he only has this little pouch right here that would be for the percussion caps that you put on the tip of a cap-lock musket. So essentially, this dude has a bunch of cap-lock musket percussion caps and no ammunition. So I think that's a little bit weird. I don't really know why TMC didn't put ammo pouches, or an ammo pouch, I guess you would call it, onto this figure. It's definitely a strange design choice, considering you would need to have a giant pouch for ammunition during the Civil War. You obviously couldn't have just a pouch for percussion caps, as I knocked the camera a little bit. But that obviously wouldn't make any sense if you only had the percussion caps. So that definitely is an accuracy flaw on the TMC version. That definitely is rectified on the Brickmania version. In addition, I do think that there are some subtle differences. There is kind of a golden sheen to the belt and of course that strap on the Brickmania version, and the TMC version looks a little bit more dull and I think more 2D. I think essentially what this sheen does is it makes the Brickmania version look 3D. Now I think that the one place where the TMC version really does shine is the pants. I think that actually the TMC pants are a little bit better. The lines connect a little bit I guess it's more cleanly would be the look. As you guys can tell on the boots of the Brickmania version, I don't know why they've recently started doing this, but I think that you can clearly see that these boot lines do not connect, which I don't personally like. I think it's a little bit strange, but clearly on the TMC version, they all connect. And of course, the TMC version also has a lot of mud, which would make sense. There really wouldn't be a time when a Civil War soldier's uniform was as clean as the Brickmania one, really at any point in the war, other than when he literally first put it on when he first enlisted, because really at any time after that, he's going to be pretty dirty. Now as we shift around to the side, as I said, they're both 360-degree printed, but the big difference, of course, is that the Brickmania version actually has an ammo satchel or an ammo pouch. Now we move on to the back, and of course, there's nothing on the TMC version, and there's a bunch of stuff on the Brickmania version. So of course, all the straps that were coming across the front, he also has the satchel, which is probably carrying some stuff. And then as we turn it to the other side of the body, the Brickmania guy, he has his place where he would be storing his bayonet, and then he also has an water canteen. So as you can clearly see, there are some significant differences between these two. And I think that honestly, the best way to put it is that the Brickmania and TMC versions of this figure are essentially creating different characters, I guess we can call it. So I think that the guy on the left for Brickmania is more so an infantry soldier. And I think that what you could use the TMC version of this body for is more of an artillery role. He obviously doesn't have any ammunition, he doesn't have a canteen, he really doesn't have any of the stuff that you normally see on a Civil War body going into battle. So he could definitely be used as a artillery person because, you know, they wouldn't have all that extra ammunition and other stuff on them. It would look a little weird for an artillery person to have this, you know, this little pouch of cap locks, or not of cap locks, but of percussion caps. But, you know, it's kind of a price you have to pay for the figure. All in all, I have to say that I think that the Brickmania figure overall is definitely more accurate. I think that that's the biggest thing for me, especially with a historical figure like this. Of course, the Brickmania figure on the left is actually based on a real life regiment, and the TMC version on the right is just meant to be an army builder. But I still think that all the details that you see on the Brickmania version that would be very symbolic and would definitely be seen on just a normal soldier throughout the Civil War, especially on the Union side, are essentially absent from the TMC version. And I think that's where the TMC version really falls short. It doesn't really include all of the necessary pouches and gear that a soldier would have. So I think that's the biggest issue between the two. I do like both of the caps, as I said earlier. I really do think that they both serve their purpose in their own way. One is more refined, more clean, and then the other one is a little bit more of a rough kind of historical look, which I think both of them have their place. Other than that, the heads, I don't really think I should compare their heads because, of course, the Brickmania one comes with a head that is specific to this figure, and then I just put a random TMC head onto the TMC figure, so I don't really think that there's any comparison for those. As I've said in the past, I think TMC in general wins out on heads in terms of detail and variety, so we'll just leave it at that. Other than those points, though, I don't really think I have anything else to add. As always in this series, it's up to you guys to kind of figure out which one you think looks better, which one you guys like better, and you guys should let me know down in the comments below which one of these, you know, Civil War figures you think really takes the win in this head-to-head comparison. But other than that, I don't have anything to add. So as always, like, comment, subscribe, do the normal stuff, and I'll catch you next time, guys.